Hello again, guys, and welcome to another edition of Real Talks. I'm sorry about the little technical difficulties there. Um, snafus and whatnot. Anyways, we're on now. I'm on, ready to go, and all that good stuff. So, um, I was I was on earlier, and I thought about it, and so the topic of today's video. Okay, this is a this is not going to be a normal show. Okay, I put out a tweet a little bit ago talking about this. Um, there's a game coming up, and it's going to be actually next Monday is the anniversary. And usually, I'm the type of person that does something on the fives, the tens, or the 20s, or whatever it is. But this had such an impact back then that I think we have to talk about it today. And I'm talking about The Last of Us. The Last of Us Part 2, mainly. The Last of Us in itself was an amazing, amazing game. Really broke ground in a lot of different areas, story, and fantastic all the way around. So this is the sequel. This is the follow up to it, and it's so interesting because I'm always the type of person that says, "Oh, it's so difficult to make a good movie, let alone a good sequel." This, I would say, is the perfect game all the way around. That's saying something. Okay. I've been a gamer all my life. I haven't played a lot lately, um, but I did play this game. This was actually the last game I played all the way through. Um, this game is there are so many superlatives to say about this game. Perfect, amazing, masterpiece. I mean, so as you can see just by this photograph here, okay, there are this got over 300. Let me rephrase that. 300 awards, including Game of the Year, including IGN, including Game Informer, including everybody. Masterpiece, generational games. All that being said, the reason why I'm doing it today, okay, is because we're going to be celebrating its third anniversary of this next week. And what I thought I'd do today is I'd like to go through and actually, um, I have 4 or 5 main points for the game and tell you how. First of all, the introduction to the game. Everybody knows the first game, okay, with Ellie and Joel and everything else. I'm not here about this. As I said, this is a follow up. But more importantly, the themes of this game in itself, okay, the 4 main themes. So first of all, I should backtrack. Okay, let's go back to 2020. When this game came out, it was huge. I mean, it was gangbusters right out of the gate. Okay, and it was selling millions of copies off the shelves. Okay, this is in June. This isn't like a December release or Christmas or anything. No, this is right in the middle of the year. That being said, okay, Neil Druckmann, of course, and by the way, I got to preface by saying this. This has now been an HBO Max or Max series. Okay, this is a series that is now every single video game adaptation that has ever been done up until this point with The Last of Us was a bust. Straight up bust. Neil Druckmann, Craig Mazin, of course, he did Chernobyl, amazing series on Max, got together and did this. I was hyped. I did stories all about this. And Carly says, can't wait for the HBO's. How HBO. Yeah, this is so. I gotta say up front, guys, this is going to be super, super heavy in spoilers. Okay, so I'm letting everybody know right now, and I should have put that in the thing. If you don't want to know, or you kind of know, and whatever, stick around. But if you don't want to know, I mean, I don't know how you couldn't, but if you don't know, I wouldn't advise watching this. Not now until at least you play the game, because the thing is that I don't want to ruin it for you. So Neil Druckmann, okay, was the director of this game, and basically Hallie Gross basically wrote the game. So those two were the masterminds behind this game. And so let's just dive right in. Sorry about the glitch, guys. Bear with me. So, okay. I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm sorry about this. Okay. Is that so? Okay. Sorry, guys. This for some reason is just very, very glitchy sometimes. Anyways, so let's just dive right in. I don't want to bore you with any more of the things. So this takes place 5 years after The Last of Us. Okay. In this photograph and in the game, okay, um, Ellie's 19. In the first game, she is 14. Okay. So this is 5 years later. Essentially, um, the whole game, and I'm going to give you the synopsis was there. Okay. It's about somebody. So there's four main themes for this game. Okay. You have love, you have loss, you have revenge, and you have forgiveness. And so, that being said, this game deals with all of it, the human emotion. I mean, this is the same shot, just without all the accolades on it. The designers did an incredible job of all of this stuff. Um, so the characters. Let's talk about the character because there are probably there's four or five main characters. The four main characters. Okay, everybody else is kind of there were a couple of side characters, and then there were those that basically I won't say not important, but okay. So you have Ellie. Okay, you have Joel. Okay, from the first game, everybody loves Joel. Okay, you have Dina. Okay, you have Mel, and you have Abby. And Abby is the one pictured there. Okay. So that being said, those are your four main characters. And Owen. Okay. Owen is another main character. Um, so then you have a couple of sub characters. Okay. You've got Jesse, you've got Isaac, who is the leader of the WLF, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes. Okay. And then you have uh, Yara and Lev. Okay. So that all being said, the game starts out, okay, with the polishing of a guitar that we see Joel have. And Carly says, I love the opening of the game. No, the opening, this whole game is a masterpiece. But the beginning of the game is even where it gets better. I mean, it just starts right out of the gate. So we see him talking to Tommy. Tommy, of course, is his brother. Okay, we meet him in the first game. And so he's basically telling Tommy about the experiences. And so we see him, tell him that Joel lied to her. So anybody who's played the first game, okay, knows that Joel saves Ellie, okay, out of the operating room, and that basically she takes, you know, Joel kills the last Firefly, or so we think, and moves on. And so Ellie had said something, and Joel had said something to the effect, "Well, there's others out there like you meaning they had immunity. She has immunity from this disease." Well, that wasn't the case. So Tommy and Joel have this conversation. And Joel basically said she lied, or he lied to her about it. Said he just ran a couple tests. So once that happens, later on, about an hour, maybe 2 or 3 hours in the game, there's this major event. And anybody, as I said, guys, heavy spoilers. So anybody who's played the game or knows the game knows what I'm talking about. And at that point, it takes a turn. As a movie fan, I know exactly why they did what they did. But it's one of those things, it just comes and it's a haymaker and it just hits you across the face like, wow. And as I said before, spoilers and everything else, Abby, okay, so Abby is the main, um, so Abby, who's pictured over here again, like I said, okay, they are, Abby and her group are hunting for somebody. We don't know who. And so Owen basically leads her over to the ridge and says, look, and it's Jackson. So Abby's, you play the first, I'd say, hour or two as Abby. Okay, not even that. And then start to get used to it. It's more of a tutorial type of thing. And then she runs into Tommy and Joel on patrol. I think Abby's, well, she absolutely is, Carly. And I'll tell you why. Because we get this game from two totally different perspectives. Totally different perspectives. And so when they get back to the lodge, it's a setup, and Abby kills Joel. And it's one of the most vicious deaths and killings you'd ever see in your life. First, she takes a shotgun and shoots his knee. So, of course, he's down. Everybody holds her. And then you just see she takes a golf club and starts hitting him. And so Ellie's starting to get worried. And she goes out after Joel. And so does, and what ends up happening is she ends up finding the lodge, finds, um, and she gets beaten up herself pretty good. And she finds Abby and everybody else and watches Joel horrifically get slaughtered. And it's one of the most brutal things. I mean, I've seen a lot of movies. I've seen horror movies, and that's one of the most brutal deaths you'll ever see because he was so beloved. And Mel was there too with Owen. And so that was the thing. And so she says, Ellie is begging Joel to wake up. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. It really was. That's the word, Kathleen. It really was heartbreaking. It really, really was. Wake up. Come on, wake up. I remember that. And so what ends up happening is they kill Joel and they leave, never to be heard from or seen again. So we go back to Jackson, and she's a broken, broken person. So when we see her again, we see the flashback of this scene here. And anybody who knows of the game knows what I'm talking about. So they are actually at like it's like a party type of thing for the town. And this was one of the great things that this game did, was show inclusion. Okay. And you have to remember, this is Naughty Dog, so I mean they're gonna take risks, but the way it was done, it was fabulous. And so they kiss. And so the owner of the lodge at the time didn't care for it. And Joel stepped in and kind of said, look, get away from him, type of thing. And the way this timeline is developed, it's incredible. And so, that all being said, this is before he dies. Okay, you got to remember that because we see Joel in there. This is before he dies. And so then we come back to where we are now. And so Tommy and Ellie have a conversation and say, look, I'm going after him. You can, And so Tommy's like, give him, give me 24 hours. Let me get Maria to, Maria is Tommy's wife who helps run the town, but let me, get her blessing. And so the next day, she's about ready to leave and sneak out the back, and Maria confronts her. And so she says, yeah, you can go. Okay, but be careful. And of course, Tommy was gone. Now, I got to say one thing. I'm not going to go through beat by beat by beat, I promise. This game, if you play just the main story itself, just the main story itself, okay, is 24 hours. Literally a full day. If you played it from beginning to end, it is a 24-hour gameplay. If you complete the whole thing and get 100%, by the way, guys, when I say this, I mean, there are games out there like Assassin's Creed that's like 80 hours. Good luck with that. But there are things that if you complete the whole thing and 100% the whole thing, it's 42 hours, which is still quite long. So, all that being said, then they go to, so Dina and Ellie are on their way to Seattle. Okay. And as I said, I'm not going to go beat by beat by beat. Okay. Because it would just, we'd be here all day, literally. But what I'll say is this it's this whole game hinges on one thing. Okay. Hinges on one thing. It's a lie. Joel lying to Ellie. Okay. And that is the thing because Ellie felt like she should have been able to make her own decision. And Joel lied to her. And finally the lie was confronted. And there's a point in the game, okay, and it's quite long, so I might actually cut it off. But there's a point in the game where Ellie finds out the truth. And that is the basis for everything. Because that being said, things would have never happened the way they did. So I want you to, I might, FYI, I might actually get copywritten for this. So if I go down, I'm going to let you know. You'll know pretty quick. But nonetheless, I want you to watch this scene because I know you were talking about heartbreaking earlier, Carly. This is an absolutely heartbreaking scene, and it gets worse. You thought the death of Joel was bad. This gets worse. But remember, when you're watching this clip, think about why this happened. And from a film point of view, I want you to think about okay, because there were a lot of people. I got to be honest. There were a lot of people that were pissed off about Joel getting killed in the way he was killed. But they weren't looking at it from a film point of view. Okay, here's a clip.
Tell me what happened here. If you lie to me one more time, I'm gone. You will never see me again. But if you tell me the truth, I'll go back to Jackson. No matter what it is. Just say it. Joel.
Making a vaccine would have killed you. So I stopped them.
Oh my God. Don't you fucking touch me! I'll go back. But we're done.
So that just goes to show you what kind of brutal truth there is on the. And I agree with you. Ashley Johnson is incredible, Carly. She says, Ashley, yeah, absolutely, she's incredible. She's incredible, fantastic. It's fascinating too because we're using motion capture here. So this isn't it. If you know what Ashley Johnson looks like, you would never know that's her, except her voice. And that's the other cool thing about this game. Okay, you take a look at somebody like, well, I mean, just take a look at these two. Like I said, okay, that is, I mean, that's they used models, face models, okay, and that is not Ashley Johnson as Ellie. That's her voice. In Dina, that's actually what the face model. That's what it was a different person. So, but that just goes to show you. Okay, I want to be. That just goes to show you the pain that she had to go through. Imagine. I mean, I know we just went through. You play that game. I mean, I know Kyle, for example, one former co-host here. He played the game during the pandemic, and he said it was a completely different experience because of what you're going through. It was real life stuff. But that clip alone is heartbreaking. And so when you see what ends up happening in the end of the game, which I'll show later, okay, it's a little shorter, but I got to show it. It's that much more incredible. So as I said, there's four main themes: love, loss, revenge, and forgiveness. Okay. So the love in the dichotomy, okay, you have Ellie and Dina, okay. You then have Joel and Ellie, and then on the flip side of the coin, you have Owen and Abby, and at one point you had Mel and Owen. Okay, the loss. I mean, obviously, we see Ellie lose Joel in the beginning, and it's just crushing, okay, to her. And we see her, a broken person. And then by the end of the game, she's completely a different person. I mean, you were talking about character arc earlier, okay? Revenge. They both had revenge on their mind. So here's the twist. In every good movie, you want that twist, okay? Here's the twist. Ready for it, guys? Abby's father was the doctor that was going to perform the surgery, and Joel killed him. That's the twist. That's why she killed him. That's incredible. I mean, whoa. So what they're going to do? So obviously they're going to greenlight this whole thing as soon as the strike ends. Whenever it does end, they're going to start production, and I'm sure they're doing pre-production. So there is a sequence, right? And I think I know exactly where they're going to end in season 1 of the second part of this. And if it's right, they'll be perfect. And that being said, we get to see both characters, right? In the first 3 days, okay, we get to see Ellie. Day 1 with Dina, day 2 with Dina, and day 3 with Dina. And in that sequence, in the middle of the game, and as I said, anybody who knows what I'm talking about knows exactly what I'm talking about. When they're about ready to go home, and Abby comes through and bursts through the theater, okay, that's where I think they're going to end it. The second half of the game, and you say, well, why is this game so long? The second half of this game, you're playing as Abby. And you're like, I don't want to play as her. She killed my favorite character in Joel. But you get to see it from her viewpoint and her ideas and her what she was going through with the WILF and everything else, which leads me to another whole thing. So now this is concept art, but what it leads me to is the factions. So there's 4 factions in this game. Okay. By the way, they came out with a multiplayer game called Factions, but there are 4 factions. Okay, you have the WLF, which Abby is a part of. Okay, you have the Infected, which, by the way, guys, are still here. I mean, I'm not even talking about the Infected. The Infected are a major, major player. I mean, you still have your runners, you still have your clickers, you have bloaters, okay, and you have other things. So there is harm out there, and then you have the Fireflies, okay, which we see later on. And then you have everybody in Jackson. Now, obviously, Jackson's a different thing, but it's a town. So it's a community and everything else. All that being said, it's one of those things. So you are not only fighting Abby, but you're fighting the whole WLF. Okay. And it's amazing to see anybody who's as I said, played the game or watched the game, seen gameplay of it. It's brutal. And the other thing I haven't brought up, and I'll bring it up now, is the crafting. So in the first game, you were able to craft things pretty good. Okay. And here, what they did was it was genius. Okay. They gave you 5 pamphlets. Okay. And then as you acquire um, I'm trying to think of the word, your items to craft. Okay. Excuse me. They gave you 5 things. Okay. Hunting, stealth, weapons, and a couple of other things. And then as you gain it, okay, you are able to get better and better things like silencers and mines and, you know, Molotovs and everything else. And I'm not even talking about the workbenches. Okay, the workbenches in itself, okay, we were able to craft and specify and customize your own guns, whether it's the revolver or it's the shotgun or it's the bow and arrow. And it's so you can do whatever you want. If you want to play it stealthy, use a bow and arrow, okay? Or if you want to go in guns and play, you take that shotgun and that handgun, you just start blasting people. And it depends on the situation, right? I mean, if you have, a situation like this, for example, where you have 3 people around, what are you going to do? How are you going to go about doing it? Now, as I said, this is concept art. In this particular scene, okay, one of the things was that, we see Abby, not Abby, but Ellie, I'm sorry, get up there and she gets shot by an arrow. Okay. And what they do is they whistle. That's how they communicate. And so she has to go through and be able to kill every single one of these people. And still, and you can gather things from it. It's one of those things where it's incredible all the way around. And you really start, and there's so many different twists. So, for example, love. What I was talking about earlier. So that was another thing too, right? You had a love triangle, okay, between Owen, okay, who was dating Abby at the time. But guess who's on the right there? Mel, and that's his baby. And so what ends up happening is, when Ellie gets to the aquarium, she ends up killing Owen and Mel. Now she didn't know she was pregnant, okay? And there's a scene later on, and that's the thing, they balance each other out so well. There's a scene later on, okay, where they're at the theater at the midway point in the game, and she's about ready to kill Dina. And she's like, wait, no, she's pregnant. And she lets her live. And she's like, don't ever let me see your face again. And that being said, so you see how one life was saved and the other one was taken. You also see that love triangle. Okay, and you see, well, because at this point they're about ready to go to Santa Barbara. Okay, and Yar and Lev, who are characters we'll get into in a couple of minutes, that you know Abby actually was going to leave alone because they were of a specific. They were on the other team, so to speak. A specific. They were the enemy. Is what they were. They were the enemy. Yara and Lev were the enemy. So at that point, they said, "Well, why am I going to help you?" And Abby woke up, and she had a guilty conscience, and she went back, and she actually helped. Now, Yara and Lev actually saved Abby's life. So what ends up happening is later on in the game, they are Abby gets captured by the other by the wolves, and she's going to be helped. And so they actually help her. They shoot down the rope and do that. It's one of those things where it's a brutal way. And by the way, it's not the first time. Okay, there's a scene much later on. Okay, where she is hung up again, and it's incredible. So yeah, so let's talk about real quick. So we've done the factions. That's how they do it. Day 1, 2, and 3 for Abby, and day 1, 2, and 3 for Ellie and Dina. The key is, as I said, Dina's pregnant, and it's Jesse's child. Jesse, she was kind of I won't say sub character, supporting character, but yeah. So he eventually gets killed. Okay, and Dina and Ellie end up raising the child. And after they get back, and that's just one of the most. So she plays the guitar. Joel ends up teaching her how to play the guitar. Okay, and there's the flashback scenes in here are brutal to the extent that, for example, the flashback in which Joel is bringing her to the museum, and so it's her birthday, and so what ends up happening is they're walking through and she's trying to guess, and we're gonna guess she's like 16 at the time, so and she's still a little girl, she's still innocent, and then she gets to the museum and she's like, whoa, and all of these things. And the final thing that Joel does is gets her a recording of, because she was interested in space, gets her a recording of the space show. And so he hands her the tape, and the visuals there are just stunning because you're actually being, it's like you're being pictured, in there. And it's just, when you see what ends up happening to Joel later on, what's beginning, it's just heartbreaking. When you end up playing with Abby, okay, what ends up happening is that one of the things when you begin as Abby, you jump right into a flashback scene. And so she's trying to find her father. And what ends up happening is the father, who's a doctor, as I said earlier, ends up helping to save a zebra. And it's Owen and Abby, and they like each other, and they're still teenagers, right? And they're dating, and the father knows, and unbeknownst to them, it's kind of funny but cute. And it is just like, those are the innocent times. Those are the things you'd like to remember, not the grizzled, not stuff like this where it's just like, this is brutal. And there are so many times during this game that make you either get emotional or possibly shed a tear or whatever. And there's, as I said, so when Abby goes to Santa Barbara, this is the scene where it's the end of the game, and she's going to essentially, she's trying to find the Fireflies. And what ends up happening is she gets captured by these, I'm going to call them zealots, but these people. And so Ellie, this is the end of the game. This is the very, very end of the game. Okay, Ellie has been hunting and trying to search and trying to find Abby. And she's retracing her steps. And, you know, Abby's at this house that, it was a myth that the Fireflies were this house. And she finds this radio and ends up contacting these people in Santa Barbara. And so Abby and Lev get captured. And so Ellie's trying to find them. And so she makes her way. One of the this just goes to show you what kind of badass Ellie is. Okay, there's a scene where she's trying to hunt down Abby, and she gets caught. Okay, and she gets hung up. And the thing stabs her, and so they cut her down. The same people that captured Abby and Lev. And what ends up happening is she's laughing. And so it captures a clip or two. And she basically, mouths off to him. And one of them wants to kill the other. And she basically, not only takes the gun, not only kills, throws one of them into the clicker, then she ends up shooting the other, and you end up getting a submachine gun playing as Ellie. Really cool stuff. But that's just one of the badass scenes in this. So this is where, now they've had Abby for quite a long time. And it's like, this is when you start to see the humanity. And this is when you start to see the forgiveness. Okay, I've talked about love. I've talked about loss with Joel. I've talked about revenge, with Abby going after Joel and Joel going after Ellie. And they had a fight in the theater. And you think, okay, that's it. And then, so then Tommy, once they're back home, Tommy then goes and says, hey, look, I have a lead. I can't go. I'm pretty messed up. And Dina doesn't want her to leave. She's having nightmares, so she has to go hunt her down. And at the end, this is when humanity really kicks in. What is one person doing to another person? And why are they doing it? Because they have a different set of values, because they look different, because they are being called names. This is a brutal picture. She is completely and totally unrecognizable. Now, when you go back, and I don't have the photo here, I will get it. I'll get it right now, actually. But when you go back and look at who she was, okay, and that's who she ends up. This is who she was. This is who she is. It just shows you the humanity portion of it. And it shows you how brutal people can be to each other. And what ends up happening is they end up having a fight. They're at the docks, and she's like, I can't allow you to leave. And so essentially what ends up happening is she's like, and so Ellie and her have this, it's a cinematic scene. It's an amazing scene. And she's about ready to drown Abby. And she's like, get out of here. Because she let her live. And they take off on the boat. And you just see Ellie sitting there in Indian style, completely gray. And the gray, I would think, resembles, what do we do? The humanity of it all. And, the ambiguity of actually being able to distinguish life from death. And every little thing they did, okay, they did with thought and care, understanding, and there was a meaning behind it. And Neil Druckmann is just a master. And I know I skipped over a lot of points, but when you think about it, At the end of the day, those are the four things that really define what this game's about: love, loss, revenge, and forgiveness. And she basically forgave, Abby for killing Joel, even though she didn't want to. She was about that close away from killing her. And then as she's drowning her, okay, that's that shot you see, you know, with that's that shot you see where you see the flash of Joel playing the guitar, and then she lets her go. This game is just it's amazing in so many different levels. And I know it's been only 41 minutes, but the whole game itself, when you play the game, and there are a hell of a lot more retrospective out there than mine that are much better. But the point is that when you play the game, it makes you really think about the human spirit as well. What do we do to each other? Why do we do it to each other? And how far are we going to go? How far do we go? Okay. I mean, as I said, revenge, love, okay, and humanity. I mean, those are three of right there. Forgiveness. Those are the three things right there. Three of the four things. And as this game goes, you see Ellie's heart as you play as Ellie get more hateful and vengeful, and she does very brutal things. And the same thing with Abby. But with Abby, okay, she's doing things because she's in an army, okay, the Washington Liberation Front. She's following orders. And she's doing it for love too with Owen. And, there was speculation of Owen shooting somebody. And he said, and that's another whole thing too. Owen said he had enough. I was tired of fighting. And that's when they came to the agreement of, okay, this is what we you know, need to do. Um, Look, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think this is a perfect game. I think this is a perfect game. Hands down, twice on Sunday. Don't take it from my word. I mean, I'm sure everybody that watches this or has watched this or will watch this has played the game. And if you haven't, play it first or know of it first before we watch this. But look at the athletes. One of the most beautiful games on this generation, this console generation. Now, they remade this for the PS5, for the PlayStation 5, and that's just the first one. I imagine they'll do the second one as well. Fundamentally compelling. A profound, harrowing sequel. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 masterpiece. One of the generation's best games. Looks incredible. The greatest game of this generation. These aren't my words. These are Tech Radar and CNET and Checkpoint Gaming. These are professionals. IGN. These Empire. These are professional people. But it tells a story, and that's what this is all about. It's about the story of two people, okay? And I know I keep going back to it, but love, loss, how far will you go and everything else. And I think it's hard to believe it's been 3 years. And it's hard to believe that this came out during, don't forget, guys, this came out in June 2020. We were right smack dab in the middle of a pandemic. So when you think about that in itself and what they're going through, maybe not all the emotions, but you're talking about, oh my God, we're going through this right now. We're trying to survive. We're trying to get, food and water and shelter and everything else. Now, there aren't crazy zombies running around, hopefully. But I'm kidding about that. But I mean, the point is that this equates to a lot of things. And unfortunately, you had a lot of loss of life, and people are angry. And even in today's culture, people are angry. You know, it's a remarkable game. You said it earlier, Carly. Ashley Johnson is amazing. Yeah, she is. And not only is Ashley Johnson is amazing, but I want to, even for the small time, Troy Baker was outstanding. He doesn't get enough credit, okay, because he's only about a couple hours. But Baker is amazing. And the last thing I want to really touch upon, okay, is, and I know I was kind of jumping from playing hopscotch there. The last thing I really want to touch on is the cultural significance. Because when you look at the cultural significance of this game, okay, um, this has changed everything. This has changed everything. And that's a clip I want to show in just a minute. But this has changed everything about this. Not only about the world, not only does it say what we live in, okay, but it's one of those things where it's just when it came out and how it came out. Troy Baker does not get enough love. No, I'll say this much. A couple things. Number one, both, of course, Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker were in The Last of Us. Okay, the 9th and 10th episodes. Okay, Baker was playing one of the henchmen for David, and Johnson, of course, was playing the um, the mother, which I thought was a really interesting twist. We never get to see where Ellie came from, right? Um, so she plays her mother at the end of the series, and so, but just the cultural significance. Everybody across the world, I would suspect almost everybody across the world knows of The Last of Us, whether it's the game, whether it's the show, whether it's Troy Baker, or whether it's Ashley Johnson, or Bella Ramsey, or um, Pedro Pascal in some capacity. So, all that being said, and the ratings speak for themselves. I mean, you had almost 9.5 million, the night, the finale, and everything else. So, we saw the shot of them in that clip. Okay, I want to play one more clip. And you were talking about heartbreaking earlier and how that first clip was heartbreaking. This, honestly, if now I got to be honest, I don't cry a lot, but I got to be honest, I got teary eyed for this. This is one of the most heartbreaking things you ever seen in your life. And the reason I say that is because at the end of the day, it really makes you cherish life, right? Because you don't know. And when something like this happens, the last thing that you say to somebody could be the last time you've seen them. And hopefully that's not the case, but you never know. So here's the clip, and just listen and admit and just think.
Hey.
What are you drinking?
Coffee.
Where'd you get that?
Uh, those people that came through last week.
Oh.
A little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, but it's not bad.
I had Seth under control.
Yeah, I know.
And you need to stop harassing Jesse about my patrols.
Okay. Dana, is she your girlfriend?
No. No, that was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
So stupid.
I have no idea what that girl's intentions are, but I do know that she would be lucky to have you.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
Yeah. I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I'd like that.
Okay. I'll see you around.
Yep.
That is brutal. And that is the last conversation they ever had. And that is why the death of Joel was so brutal, because they were just starting to reconcile the differences. And they were just starting to come back together. And he got taken away from her. Not only as a mentor, not only as a father figure, but as a person. That was the night before. And when you put all that stuff into context, okay, that's what makes this game so good. Um, it just, you watch that over and over and over again. And it's one of those things where I don't see how Naughty Dog. So let's finish on a couple of things. Number one, where do they go from here? Okay, I mean that's the $64,000 questions. Everybody wants to see The Last of Us Part 3. I think that if you decide to do it, if you being Naughty Dog, if you decide to do it, okay, you have to have a story that's going to trump and that's going to beat this. Okay, that's going to be hard. Okay, even though you've set it up to a certain extent. That's going to be very, very difficult. Okay. Number two, I would rather see them just end it right there, because I think anything that is made is going to take away from this in any capacity. And finally, I mean, that for me is full circle. That's full circle. They were starting to reconcile. It happened, and everything else. I'll be honest. I don't want to see Last of Us Part 3. I don't. It would be like it would really just it wouldn't work. Although I would say one thing: if, and this is where the big caveat comes, if they were going to do it, what I would like to see, okay, is a prequel. What you do, the one character that we have not explored in any of these two games is Tommy. What I think they should do, they being Naughty Dog, what I think they should do, if they're going to go down this route of Last of Us Part 3, is they show that how Tommy and because throughout the game, look, there are collectibles that you can actually. Tommy was a firefly, okay. Joel, we know was a firefly, okay. I think what you could do is put it in prequel fashion, and you see the rise of Tommy and Joel up through the fireflies, and it ends at it ends with Last of Us. That's the that is the big that's the that's where station ended, right at the beginning of The Last of Us. That's what I would do. Now, it could be they do that, but then again, it could be very, very, very boring. Okay? But Tommy's the only one that we have not seen throughout this whole game. The, you know, 30 or 40 or 50 hours of gameplay. That's the only thing you could do. Because I think Ellie going after Dina, she made her choice there. Okay? Abby being where she is, she made her choice. Okay? I don't think you'd ever see Ellie and Abby go at it again. That epic battle at the end was it. And I wouldn't even want to do something like the Fireflies because you're not including Joel and you're not including Ellie and everything else. So that's where I would put. I would do some sort of prequel. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, and I know I reiterated all the time throughout the last hour. This game is just a masterpiece. It's perfect, and I really hope Naughty Dog does not. Um, and even if they do it in live action, I mean, I know that this is well down the road, but I hope that I mean, we're 3 years out from this. I mean, you're probably not going to see The Last of Us Part Two, the first portion of it, until 2025, probably with the writer's strike. In the second one, I mean, you're talking about 2029 maybe, if they were going to ever do that. And Neil Druckmann had also come out and said, "Look, we are only going to do the games. We are only going to do the games. That's it." So I don't see them ever doing, announcing The Last of Us Part. Doesn't make sense because it would have to be a completely original story, and I don't think they want to do that. So, guys, that's gonna do it. The Last of Us Part Two. Nothing else to say. I mean, it's won over 300 awards, including Game of the Year. I mean, it's a masterpiece. I mean, the only other game I could think would be as powerful of an ending is Spider-Man. That's it. That last sequence, that last 10, 15-minute sequence, when he's talking with Aunt May, it brings you to tears. It really does. So that's the only other game I could even put in this. So, but yeah, so that is The Last of Us. And Makes me want to go play it again. Okay, couple of quick reminders. Number one, we got Mission Impossible Fridays coming up. So every single Friday from here on out, it's about a month. By the way, guys, I mean, not that I'm a big, Paramount guy. The tickets for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning went on sale today. So go grab yours. I'm going to grab mine tonight, probably. So Mission Impossible Friday. I just watched the third one the other night, and I have the notes right here, actually. And every single Friday leading up to July 12th, I'm going to be I'm not going to be doing a show. It's going to be a Mission Impossible stream. Okay. So that one is going to be every Friday up until July 12th. I think there's a band showing on the 10th. Anyways, so that's Fridays. Thursday, starting next Thursday, a week from today, I'm going to be doing Secret Invasion Thursday. So there's going to be no show, okay, but there will be Secret Invasion Thursday. Come back here, guys, and I will watch it, either Wednesday night or Thursday morning, and then I will get on here and we will talk all about Secret Invasion. Okay. What else we got going? So the shows, of course, and then we've got the Flash coming up this weekend. So I'm going to go see that on Thursday, and I will be doing a spoiler cast for you guys on Saturday. I don't know what time yet. I'll figure that out. I'll tweet it out. That is my Twitter handle. Come follow me on Twitter. I'm always doing spaces about movies or in spaces about movies. So come do that. Guys, if you'd like to support me, and I know I keep saying it at the end of every single stream, but I'm trying to make it here and do this. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Number one, you can drop a super chat, which anything you guys do to support me, thank you very much for believing in me, first and foremost. You can do a super chat, okay? Number two, you can become a member. A couple of people have already started to do that, starting to build memberships up. It's only $3 a month, guys. It's less than a gallon of gas right now, or a gallon of milk. $3 a month, that's it. Okay, so a super chat, members, hit that join button, or head on over to the store. We got Father's Day coming up in about a week or so. Okay, actually, I think it's tomorrow. I could be wrong. Anyways, head on over to the store. Mugs, t-shirts, jackets, women's and men's apparel. So they look really good. And yeah, if you don't want to support me monetarily, hit that like and subscribe button. I know it's not a lot to ask, but it gets it out to everybody out there. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this out to as many people as I possibly can and grow the channel. Perfect movies. I did a perfect movie the first week of the month, and that was The Dark Knight. So, I mean, you can't get any better than that, Batman, right? Of course, Michael Keaton's going to be in the new Flash movie along with Ben Affleck. So that will be good. And then for the rest of the year, guys, first week of the month, every single month, you guys are going to be getting another perfect movie. I'm talking about movies like Pulp Fiction, Spotlight, things like that. I mean, on there already, it's, Silence of the Lambs, Captain America Winter Soldier, The Fake Social Network. I mean, just great films, film after film after film. What I deem perfect movies, not a flaw in them. And I break them down and I analyze them and I talk about why they are perfect. I have a couple of things in the pipeline I'm trying to get going. As far as I might do something. So we'll see about that. There's already a lot on the slate. And guys, spoiler cast every single weekend for the rest of the summer. Okay, we got the Flash this weekend. We're going to be getting Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You're going to be getting Mission Impossible. You're going to be getting Barbie. You're going to be getting Oppenheimer. Throughout the whole course of this summer, you're going to be getting spoiler cast every single weekend these films come out. It's a ton of stuff here, guys. So that's why I say, if you don't do anything else, hit that subscribe button. You can't get this much stuff anywhere else. You're paying for all this stuff. So, okay, I think that's it. So tomorrow, I think what we'll do, unless there's any major breaking news, um, I think what I'm going to do is I watched the two movies for the Patreon. Okay, and so by the way, guys, that's the last way you can support me is Patreon. There's two different levels. $5 is Mob Mondays, and $10 is We Watch Wednesdays. $10 gets you both. $5 just gets you Mob Mondays. Right now, there's only one up there. I'm going to be doing the second one tomorrow, it looks like. I'll be doing a live stream of that. It's The Departed. Martin Scorsese's 2008 winner, and then Steve Jobs. So $10 a month. You'll be helping me out there. And you can't get that anywhere else, by the way. This will not be on the channel. You can't get that anywhere else. So there's a couple different ways for you guys to support me. Okay, guys. I think that's it. And so do the three things you need to do. Number one is be careful. Number two is be safe. And number three is have a great night. And I am David Steele, and you have been watching Real Talks.